tomorrow, but you understand.
Yes.
So let's check.
That's kind of how we're planning, because we don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you think?
Sounds good.
As good as it's been in the past, right? Yeah, I still got that mic, and they have everything's delayed evidently because of the mail or something. The cord and the adapter that will plug into either my computer or my tablet here is coming, but it's going to be later than they thought, and I'm not surprised. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm not surprised.
I hear some people are getting their Amazon orders a month later than they used to, and it used to be, a 2-day kind of thing.
Right,
So.
it used to be, that's right. That's what happened to us with an Amazon order, and that's what's basically happening with this cable also. Mike was right there in the store, so they somehow got it out.
Well, that's why we're spending this time in the spring and summer getting up to speed with all of our instructors and members in this time of practice before we, do classes in the fall.
Is this course, this is a spring course, the one we're in now, is that right?
Well, we're kind of in a quasi-spring term.
Is there going to be a term between this one and the summer one?
No.
That's what basically I was trying to figure out. Yeah, that makes sense. Because we're already into May. I mean, my gosh, yes, you're right.
All right.
I was trying to remember earlier.
Yeah,
If
the
we
lack
were
of
doing our
structure is getting
normal
everybody.
time, if we were doing our normal time, this would be week 7 of spring.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Right. Okay. And the
we're
normal
really
time is 8 weeks, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're
So
not doing our normal time. So is this week? What is this week 4?
I think this might be your week 5.
5.
I think at
In
least.
other words, do you think after today I have 3 more?
It's
I
up
have
to you.
think ahead a little.
We are operating beyond all scope of time or space, Tom.
It's a Star Trek thing, yeah.
We are beyond the limits of
operating-
time.
Yeah, we're operating in other worlds and states and
Go where
universes.
no man has gone before.
Yes.
Exactly.
Know where LifeQuest has gone before. So if you wanted to make next week your last week, or if you wanted to make it 3 weeks from now, we're grateful for all we have together.
I'll look at the calendar and let you know.
Okay.
I will definitely go 3 more weeks. So that makes it so that we give everybody 8 weeks of what they would have expected,
So that would put you at the end of May, just through the end of May this week,
the end
next
of
week,
May
and next
would
week.
be good, right?
Okay.
Because then I would need June off. You're right. June would be a preparatory month.
Okay.
I think the summer term started in the 2nd or 3rd week of July, or used to.
It'll start right after the 4th. So
Okay.
that
whatever
week.
the 4th.
If the 4th is on a Wednesday, then it would start the next week, depending on what day I don't know
So
what
the
day it is
4th,
this year.
the 4th is actually on a Saturday this year.
Oh, okay, good.
So it's
So
the
our
next week.
classes will start the week of July 6th.
It's a little after 2, but I was just double checking. I think I'm live on Facebook. So if you want to go ahead and start, go ahead, and it's recording, and maybe we'll have some more people pop in.
Okay. Change my screen here. See if I can see anybody. I saw Alan a while ago. Yeah, I see Alan. That's great. Okay, and there's Sandra again. Great. Hi, Lynn. Hey, Jeanette. Rena, finally get this. Oh, yes. Of course I know who you
Camera
are.
works.
Now I'll never forget.
Hi, Rena.
I have
Good to
news
see
for
you.
Yeah, Arena, you have to unmute your mic. There's a little mic button. It looks like a microphone.
How am I
There's
There
a
you
now?
red line through it.
We can hear you.
Can you hear it?
Good job.
Yeah, I know where this time. I found it. Yeah.
I have good news for you, Arena.
What?
The answer to the summer is yes, I am.
Oh, good. Thank
The
you.
summer term. I was just talking to the staff and learned that they do hope to do a summer term, a regular 4-week one, starting the week after July the 4th. And we'll go for 4 weeks. And I already have about 3 different ideas for that. And I may, as I think about it, I may pass those along to all of you who join us today. And if you're interested in the term, then you can think of which one might interest you. Not that I would necessarily do that one, but I'd get your input.
We're doubling his pay.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I wish they'd pay double the
And
pay.
the
for my
summer
piano
classes are still free and open
Yeah.
to the public, open to any of your family members or friends that would like any of our classes in July. We're still in the learning how to do this online with more and more instructors. And so we're still taking summer as a free opportunity. So just to be sure you know that. But we're grateful for Tom and others that are helping us thrive online.
Isn't that wonderful of the staff? And those who are big time supporters of LifeQuest. And
Yeah, we're fortunate to have a lot of support. Really grateful for that. All right, if y'all would get yourselves in speaker view so you can get a close-up of Tom, including you, Gina, and me.
Gina has put up a little drawing for her face. It's very cute. I don't know where she got it. If she's an
Thank
artist,
you very
she might have done it.
much.
But
It's
I
a
like it.
program.
Yeah, it's a program. Huh, it's cute. Okay, I'm going to get started. Let me get back to a different screen so I can see myself also. It takes me a minute. My thing's is slow. There I am. Today, we're going to examine some, we're going to stick with a particular meter, a particular time in jazz, not in terms of chronological period, but meter. So much of jazz for the first 50, 60 years was composed or played in 4/4 time or something like that. But in the 1950s, there began to be more jazz musicians that were playing in some kind of time in which the measure was divided into 3 parts instead of 4. 3 being, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or it's slower tempos or faster tempos. And so today we're going to look at 3 pieces of music, all of which they divide the measure into 3 beats. The first one is very much like a Chopin waltz. It was written by Rena's favorite jazz pianist, or one of her favorites, Bill Evans, and it's called B minor waltz. You'll notice that I play it in this rubato sort of style, parts of it. I'm convinced, I know that Bill Evans looked at and played a lot of classical music, and his early training was, and I can hear in his other compositions how he was influenced by it, particularly the Romantic period. And so I think that he was definitely influenced by the Chopin waltzes in this composition. And it's in a basic sort of a 3-time, and he calls it a B minor waltz. And it's about in the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the underlying tempo. In the other tunes, we'll look at 3, 4, but in a different way in each of those also. The last one being a Song of Mine, in which the measure is divided into 3, but each beat is also divided into 3, which makes it in 9/8 time. So this first one, B minor waltz by Bill Evans. It's a long melody. It's quite beautiful. You'll notice that on down the page, as we near what would be the end of the melody, he changes key very nicely. I hope you'll hear it. So just be listening for that. Listen for what? Not just the beautiful melody and the speed at which it goes, but listen also for the left hand, which is carrying the harmony. So is the right hand to some degree because of the way he structured the melody. But listen to the left hand also as sort of Chopin-esque. Thank you, Alan. For those rest of you who are applauding, thank you very much. I love that piece. You can hear that in there, hopefully. There was improvisation in there. I think you heard that. You'd have to hear the piece a few more times to be able to hear the theme, but I think you certainly heard it when I came back to it at the end. It's interesting because it might be, if you have a mindset that says that jazz always has to swing, well, it doesn't. It's developed just in so many different directions. It's even hard to say these days in some musics, what might constitute jazz. If we had to say, I guess the one thing we might hold on to is, but it wouldn't be true in 100% of the cases, would be improvisation, which there was in here. But one of the other elements in here that makes it jazz style that you can hear that is its harmonies are of the period of the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, even the 70s, some of the compositions composed during that time, and that a lot of the harmonies are moving what we call around the cycle of fifths. The chords are related 5 notes apart from each other. They're not close by. But don't let that fool you. Even not being close by, they have common notes, common tones that hold them together. You heard this sequence in here a lot, this harmonic sequence that Bill Evans uses so beautifully. As does, when I look at Chopin's music, he also has it. You'll have this sequence. Turn that chord into minor instead of moving on. This is going to take me back to the first chord, B minor. I'm going to go back to that same chord I played here, but I'm going to make it sort of major sounding. That lets me go on. This chord leads our ear to expect 2 or 3 chords, because we've got more sophisticated ears now than the persons did, let's say, in the 1940s. And this chord wants to go to here. Which wants to go to here, to here. And that's where he goes with it. When he first sets us up by staying here. Those 2 chords, 2 minor chords. And then he lets us know here. We're in this next section of the song where he gives a different melody to it. And so I'm just going to stop here, and I'd like to hear some feedback on what you heard, any questions you have regarding improvisation, regarding how I decided to do it in this style. If you listen to Bill Evans do it, he's recorded it somewhat in this style on one record, and on the other one he's playing with his trio. So he plays it more in time and more a little bit like a jazz 3/4 swing song. Please, somebody make a comment or ask a question. Give me some feedback. If I don't get feedback, I don't have any idea what you're thinking.
Okay. Can I start?
Yes, sure, Jeanette.
One thing I heard that I really liked, it was very Chopin-esque, and I think sort of toward the middle I heard you doing more of a kind of a steady chord in the left hand, which reminded me of some Chopin preludes. There's a couple of preludes. The Raindrop Prelude does that, and there's another prelude, that other real famous one that has that steady chord thing going in the left. And so that reminded me of a couple of Chopin preludes that I love a whole lot.
Yeah,
so that was nice.
right.
And I know I had that observation, but then I also had a question. You said there was a key change. My ear just isn't good enough, to know
It's subtle.
where did that happen.
It's subtle. Okay, it happens. So we have the second half of the piece, which again comes back to the same harmonic structure. First half started with this melody. Second half starts on this note. So it is a variation. It is very similar. The theme is very similar to the first theme. It's just that he starts it on a different note. So I'm getting to your answer. Now, on this chord, you expect to come back to the B minor chord. So here we're on that preparatory chord for B minor. It's so interesting. It's surprising how subtle this is, even though he goes not to B minor, but down a half step to B flat minor. And there's the same melody at the beginning, we're just in a new key. And he stays there for about 8 bars, and then he brings us back to the preparatory chord to get us back into the first key. He brings us back to this chord, which takes us back into here. But you're right, what happens here is we have that chord setting us up for B minor, and then suddenly we have B flat minor. Then it works
Okay.
that way.
Cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Harmonically, it's just beautiful. And then Beloved was great at composing these beautiful themes. Somebody else.
Well, this is kind of a naive comment, but I'll make it anyway. When somebody says they're going to play something that's, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm just,
Okay.
don't bother what I look like. I'm just turning up the sound of my tablet.
Okay, gotcha. I'll tell you, anytime somebody says they're going to play something and it's named waltz, I cringe because I don't want to hear Strauss. So,
Me either.
so they say it on the radio, oh, we're going to play blah, 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 Strauss. I'm like, I click it off as fast as I can. So,
Yeah. And
not that it's bad. I just don't want to be stuck with a da, 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 for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want.
Right,
like that.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't want that either.
It's fine for ballroom dancing, but not for what I want to listen to.
Right. If I were to put this in swing or something like that, let's see, I'd have to go faster. I haven't even thought of this. Let's see. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, that's the way it would be played in sort of a swing style, which is, it sounds beautiful that way because it's a beautiful song, but not as beautiful to me as it does if I put it back the way it's really written out of that Chopin influence. So I think it could go either way, but I think the first way is
Now, Tom,
a lot better.
I have a question that's
Yeah.
related to this. Why does it sound melancholy when you play it one way? And I'm not used to hearing jazz as melancholy.
Right.
And then when you play it as swing, it doesn't sound that way. Is it a difference in the tempo, or what is that that's
That's
creating
such
that?
a good question. That's a good question. I'll give you what won't be the full answer, but it'll be what comes to mind at first. Yes, I think it's the tempo, and in that tempo, it allows you to hear the harmonies more, to spend more time on those lush, romantic style harmonies. It's the rubato way that I can play it, where I can play, where the underlying time is still 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is a Strauss. So that's underlying, but I get to, and I keep the left hand fairly steady with moving eighths. But it lets me go. So you heard me slow down right before I moved to the end of that phrase. It let me do that. But in the beginning, it allowed me also to keep the left hand steady while I didn't stick with a very steady time in the melody. The melodies mark all quarter notes. And then, so I could play it. I could play it that way, but I didn't. Let's do it again. See how I stretched it and I pushed it forward while I kept the left hand steady. That's very typical of romantic music. The harmonies are typical of romantic music. This chord is filled with not just seventh chords, but ninth chords. The first part of the melody outlines the ninth chord with the 13th in it. That's really not the 13th, sorry. But here's the third and the fifth, and here's the ninth. And this note right here happens to be the 13th of the chord I moved to. It's the ninth of the first chord, but it's a common tone in the next chord, but it's one of those real good choice, lush common tones. It kind of wants to resolve.
Thank you.
Does resolve. So those two things come to mind. It may be that it's also in minor. I think in minor makes it have that more somber mood too. Yeah. Let me move on. Thank y'all. Let's see. I'm going to play. I'm going to play a song of mine that is in, and I'll save the sort of swing one that's in 3/4 for the end. I'm going to play a song of mine. I don't have a name for it. My wife says she pictures, and I want to say that because that'll influence you too much. If I get some feedback from you on names or what you think of, then you can tell me. All right, so this one still has 3 beats to the bar. And I have to look at this because the song is so weird to me that I have to always check the tempo. So here's the beat. So you think of the beat as 1, 2, 3. That's not right. Got to hear it in my head. That's it. Yes. 1, 2. Now I divide the beat inside the beat instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and I divide it into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Thank you. Yes, appreciate the clapping and the nodding. This was good too, and smiling. All right. Could you hear how the pulse is here? And there's 3 beats to the bar. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I play around with some, the time feels funny there because I move the chords on unpredictable parts of the beat.
Am I the only one, or does it feel like Tom is frozen?
No, I had it frozen too. This is Rena.
And I did too, Sandra.
Okay, we'll give his internet connection a minute to catch up, and if we don't get him back in 30 seconds or a minute, I'll give him a text.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, Cyril. I see you got here a little later.
Better later, maybe.
I thought I saw that he had left the meeting.
He did. I think he may be trying to sign back in. I'm just waiting and hoping. And then, so I appreciate everyone having some patience.
Well, I know how to get him back on. I'm going to ask Jeanette some questions, and he'll come back on because we're talking. Jeanette, what I wanted to find out, are you taking lessons with Nancy right now or with Naoki?
I'm taking with Naoki via Zoom. Yeah, because
Okay.
he's in South Korea now. So.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Zoom is
interesting.
Wonderful for that then, isn't it?
Yeah. I haven't had a lesson in a week or a week and a half now. But I mean, he's really busy, I think, trying to wrap up the end of the semester, because he's teaching several classes.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy, as for our class, she
just wanted to give you a quick update. Sorry to interrupt, Lynn.
No.
Tom is having internet difficulties. His internet is went out. He's going to restart his router and see if he can reconnect with us. So if we'll give him a couple more minutes and see how that works.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Thanks.
fine.
I was just going to say that Nancy has been doing emails and YouTube for our class. which I thought was interesting. I asked her about Zoom, but she said there's a little, what would you say, a lag time, and so it would be hard to do a class lesson on Zoom, which I thought was interesting.
Right. Yeah, we even tried to do duet lessons with Naoki, just two people and him, just a 3-person lesson, basically, the 2 piano players and him. And even that doesn't work. You can't play a duet with somebody with Zoom. It just doesn't work.
Right. I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll mute myself again now. It didn't work. He didn't pop back up on.
My wife actually had a Zoom meeting and played handbells with like 6 handbell players, a cello, and 2 flutes.
Wow.
Some
And
things
Mary
work
Abich
well with Zoom, some
conducted.
things don't go well.
I enjoyed the bedtime with Bach, where some of the players played multiple instruments and parts. One person did and then put it together. It was so much fun to watch that.
I think that's one good thing that has come out of this strange time, is that we're getting to listen to so much great music that we wouldn't have got to hear otherwise. There wouldn't have, been any impetus to do bedtime with Bach, otherwise. It's kind of nice.
They also did a breakfast one. Somebody was making breakfast and there were 2 instruments playing, and it was really sort of neat.
Really?
Tom called again, and he wants you all to just keep chatting about the class, he said. I said, you were chatting amongst yourselves, and he said, well, make sure they're talking about the class. I did hear Lynn talk about the bedtime with Bach, and I really enjoyed one day they did breakfast with Benini, and 2 of the ASO people had dressed up in their kitchen things and played the flute and another instrument. That was really nice. So yeah, it's nice to
One
hear
of
people
those was
doing
Diane
duets.
McVinney.
Yeah.
Which instrument did she play?
She plays flute. She plays with the Arkansas Symphony.
Yes.
Her husband is also a flautist, plus he plays anything with a reed. If there's an orchestra pit in town, he's in it.
That's awesome.
Wasn't she with Beth Wheeler?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
can you see me and hear me?
I thought they were so
All
good.
right. Sorry about that. I have no idea. My router kept saying it was working, but it took me several tries to get back in. Hey, Cyril.
Well, we'll let you get back to class. Thank you.
Okay. So last piece. I heard y'all were having a discussion about the music while I was
Tom?
down. Go ahead.
Before we get off of your unnamed piece, you're a good choir man. It reminded me almost immediately the structure of what you're playing to Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring. The exact structure. You think about that for a minute. I got that in my mind while you were playing, and all of a sudden I couldn't quite get it out.
Wow, what a connection. Alan, I'm going to have to think about that for longer than a minute, but I will think about it. I'll play it to myself this week, and I'll think about, wonder what makes, what is it that's in there that reminds Alan of that.
It was either the 9/8 or the triplet structure that you had right in, which is exactly what.
All right, I was asking you, you can comment on anything, but I was asking you, what did you notice in this piece about the harmonies? I couldn't even get it on my phone. So, but, thank goodness we're in. That's no problem.
Well, I have a question, but it's not about the harmonies. It's when you did the transition part and you did it played very fast. What drove you to choose that particular sound?
To do that then? Who was asking me that? Was that you, Rena? I'm not sure who.
Rena.
Okay. Because I can't see everybody on the screen all at once.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No problem. Well, I'm not sure which part you're talking about, But I do think maybe it's this part right here. So we're going along.
It's a transition, and all of a sudden you speed up for a little while, and then you go back to.
Yeah, it's probably when I go here. I starts off. Break. You have to wait. Wait. Again. It just gets faster. Now here it comes. Almost done. And then I come to a spot where it's. That whole thing there too. What made me do that? When I composed,
You may not be able to answer that question. It struck me as
that's a
that
very
was
good question.
very different
So,
part.
I can answer. I can give you a short answer. When I compose, let's say I've already got an idea. Let's just start with that, because ideas come in various forms. When I have an idea and I start to play that idea, I start hearing what should follow, what seems to come next, and so I write it out, and then I keep writing until I can't hear anymore that day. Then I stop and I don't come back to it till maybe the next day, and I play what I have, and I may change a little of that, but I come back to it and see if I can hear more. If I can't, I still work on it. I'll look at the structure of what I have, and knowing about composition, I was a composition undergraduate and graduate major. I graduated Indiana University in composition, and from Cleveland Music Conservatory in composition. And I studied piano, but I wanted to study composition, so I know a lot about composing. I wanted to have a section that still didn't stay in this kind of harmonic thing. Change the chord on every beat. Stay on 3 beats was 1 chord, go to the next chord 3 beats. It does that in the beginning. That's the same chord there, but I moved the bass to keep it moving. Yes, I hear it now, Alan, in the harmony. Still 3 in here. Suddenly it's like a gospel. Then I take the beat here and I do an interesting thing. I divide the first beat into 3 parts. See? Now I got 2 beats left. I divide each of those beats into 2 parts. I divide the next 2 beats into 3 parts. So I won't go more technical than that. Because if I start telling you how I do it note-wise and you're not a musician, you wouldn't get it. But do it like this. Let's see, let me find a spot. And now those 3, da, da, da. That takes up 2 of these. So first I did 1 of them and I played it as a triplet. Now I got 2 more to go. And I'm going to play it. La, 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 and then I'm back at the top. It kind of catches you, and that's the idea. And then suddenly we're back at the beginning of melody again. And then I chose that for an ending too, because it's surprising. I tried ending this song in what would be rationally, harmonically the right place. Blech. It didn't speak to me at all. It doesn't need, it's a quirky song anyway because of the harmonic movement in the melodies, because it'll go from something harmonic you expect, like, or sort of a gospel. less surprising. When I come to the second time, the first time I have this chord, I let it be for 3 beats. Second time when I come to that chord, I create a new melody and I only let that chord be 2 beats. So the harmonic rhythm is no longer 1 beat per chord. It wasn't exactly that in the beginning, but I'm going to point it out a lot more this time. It's no longer 1 beat, 1 chord every 3 beats. I'm going to do here sort of, it's called a hemiola. I play the first chord for 2 beats of the first 3-beat bar. Then I go to the next chord and it's on there for 2 beats. So it's on there for the last beat of that bar and the first beat of the next bar. And then I go to another chord, which takes up 2 beats of the next chord. So it stretches across the bar line. So instead of 1, 2, 3, I go. So I play this for 2 beats, harmony, and this 2 beats. And this. So each of those were 2 beats, so it pushed us forward. Then I would come back into. And this is, then here is, those are 1 beat each, but you don't expect those chords. Here's another chord you don't expect. And you expect that to maybe go here. I go. Sorry. See, and I'm changing those chords on different beats within inside the bar that now you can't expect. You don't know where it's going to happen. And I like that because it doesn't feel so heavy as always everything occurring on a beat or everything occurring on the downbeat of the next bar. And as an improviser, it just opens up a whole new world. I could just go places you don't expect, but that do fit in with the harmony. Long answer to a very good question.
Thank you.
All right, we're running out of time. Unless somebody else has a burning comment, I want to move on. This is the last piece. Last piece is written by Jerome Kern. It's called Yesterdays. It's not the Beatles tune. Yesterdays. It's originally written in 4/4 time. It's a jazz standard. I've known it for years. So normally in 4/4 time, it's played medium to up tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Walking bass line, you get the idea. Or it could be even played faster than that. Well, I'm gonna play the solo piano. I don't want to play that. Everybody else plays it that way a million times. I've decided to put it in not 4/4 but 6/8. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Decided to give it a little bit Middle Eastern flavor. Thank you. Thanks, Cyril. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any last comments? Did you see? I mean, the time in there, it stayed 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You can't always feel it like one. You don't always feel this. I'm splitting it here and splitting it there and splitting it here and splitting it there. Pat's over here and she's just agreeing with me the whole time. The perfect one.
I thought it was interesting. The second one to me was a lot more interesting than the first one that you played.
We talking about all 3 pieces now?
No, I'm talking about the last piece you played. Didn't you play it 2 different ways?
Oh yeah, I played it. Yes, I did. I played it several different
I thought
ways.
the second one was much more interesting.
Okay. I have to tell you, Lynn, that's fine. That's great. You found something that was interesting. That's good. And well, you didn't say the other one was. You just more interesting.
Oh no, I liked them all. It just seemed like that the third piece that you played, when you played it the regular way,
yeah,
it was so different than when you, jazzed it up.
No, you're fine. That's fine.
That's what
Yes. Yeah. And that's what jazz is, and that's what gives me the freedom to do that, is that I can improvise it in many different ways, hopefully in ways that make sense. And as a composer, I'm always, I think I intuitively, composition is nothing more than improvisation that slowed down. You could say it another way. Improvisation is just composition, it's just composing sped up, either way. But if you know the piece really well and you technically have the facility to do what you're hearing, and there are a lot of things I hear I haven't practiced yet, and I try to do them and they not quite right, so I know to go back and work on those. But I can do different things in there. And I can find ways. At one point, I went into what's called a pointillism. Pointillism came out of the early part of the 20th century, is primarily a Germanic movement into music, in which some composers got really tired of traditional harmonic music, things always being in major key, minor key, etc., having traditional tonality. And because the music had become so highly chromatic by the end of the Romantic era, especially when you get into Mahler and Wagner, and that as an absolute rejection of that, kind of like bebop was a rejection of, in a way, of some of the jazz big band standard stuff going on at that time. As a rejection of that, there were 3 major composers: Arnold Schoenberg, Webern, and Alban Berg. They were his students, Schoenberg's students, who rejected tonalism for a while. And what they did is they created music. I won't go into detail anymore, but it didn't have a tonal center, and it sounded like this. Kind of like that, and I very much like that. So I tried to stay within the harmony of this piece, but play it in a pointillistic way. Probably didn't hear it, but I was putting in some of the melody and even some of the harmony. I was choosing specific notes. Now, I'm not thinking about this as I do it, okay? I'm hearing what I want to play. And then I'm trying to play it, trying to just trusting my instincts to find those notes. That's it. Alan.
Just a quick question. You know, you were demonstrating that disjointed style. there was a composer in the 50s. His name was Otto Gredinger, and he composed two major pieces using a color wheel. And one was This Modern World, and the other was City of Glass. And as complex and everything as they were, and done with some kind of mathematical craziness, there's something about the brain that's looking for, I don't want to call it style exactly, but it's looking to it's anticipating some completeness.
Yes.
And when it's all.
Yep. Yeah. Your signal just froze, but if you're hearing me, yes, you're right. The brain,
your brain is looking for something.
Designed, Our brains are designed to take whatever information comes in and try to make sense out of it. And in order to do that, they have to organize that information in some kind of way related to some previous experience of organizing something similar. So to ears that haven't ever encountered sort of what you might call is chance music, and there's and because he used a color wheel, there's a lot of chance involved in that. He left it up to chance, but yet he still, I don't know this composer, and I would like for you to text me his name in those two pieces. He still had to make decisions regarding rhythm and form. It's possible that he had ways of using that color wheel that still that allowed him to use chance to determine also rhythm and form. I'm assuming that he used the color wheel at first to determine pitch, but even then he had to determine register of pitch. If he wanted to use this D, did he want this D here, or this D here? So there are decisions made there. I don't know what his thinking was on those, but I'd love to hear his music. But you're right about the mind needs to have something it can hold on to. There's a famous jazz educator named Jerry Coker. In one of his books he wrote, and it's a general principle for young improvisers. He says, you have to give the audience at least 50% of something they recognize that they can hold on to that makes sense to them, at least that much. And then the other 50%, you can give them something that stretches them. But you don't want to go so far out that they can't relate it to what they are able to understand and organize.
Tom, I'm going to have to do an old LifeQuest thing here.
Yeah, do it.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right, that's fine. We're done.
And I'm going to have to ring the bell.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I'm so glad that you were able to come back with us after your internet difficulties. It's a little over 3:08, and so
yeah, you
I just want to applaud. Thank you for today, and thank you for the times you've taught us.
Thank all of you.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Comments. Write into Leah your comments. Those of you who don't have my email or my text, write to Leah. She passes it on to me, and I get a lot out of it. They mean a lot. Because not being a one-on-one, this is different, of course.
It is a very different time. And since it's a different time, we have the recordings available on our website, and we'll have this on Facebook as well. And so share it with your friends if you think they'd be interested, or let them know that we have other classes if they'd be interested in that are free and open to the public right now. So I appreciate you all for coming. Thank you very much, and have a good day.